Hi, my name is Solo P1 and today we're going to be talking about the Australian Grand Prix session. Christian Horner, I've never seen a man go so more pale in my life, and if you don't agree with me, go take a walk. The engineer's Ferrari was yamming pasta, drinking wine, yamming the bread, bloating up the stomach. Mercedes, what was they doing? Lewis Hamilton was playing FIFA on the PlayStation 4. Bottas was trying on his leather jacket, his Terminator 2 leather jacket and his glasses. We had Paul de Reste, Simon Lazenby. Thinking Simon Lazenby had wine alright. It looked like he had 5 bottles of wine before he come on. I thought Mercedes was going to get it. It was all about the tactics. That's all I heard all weekend from Mercedes. We're going to utilise the tow. What tow? You didn't even get out the garage. 2019 F1 season is in the bag. What did I tell you geeks about Alonso at the beginning of the season? They was all saying Alonso, no, he's finished. He needs to crawl away into a dark corner somewhere and retire. No. Nope. The great drivers always find a way. I could have went to the toilet and done a #1 or even a #2. Guys were jumping on the bandwagon of Lando Norris when he started with McLaren. You all knew that McLaren was going to be a good team. Nobody gave a shit about George Russell. You know why nobody gave a shit about George Russell? Because George Russell was in the Williams car. Very simple. Turning the screw on Max Verstappen. You're screwed. I don't think I've got the only star they got is Max Verstappen. So he's the only one that the Dutch geeks cling on to. Max Verstappen. I've been saying it all season. I'll get the inept geeks on Twitter trying to argue with me and say, no, I'm wrong. You don't know nothing. And after today, it proved my point even more. All Max Verstappen is a dive bomber. He was completely reckless today. They should have took his license off him, his Formula 1 license and his driving license, and they should have said, Max Verstappen, leave. Damn right. You have no place in F1. But this geek, Max Verstappen, has got zero skill. Zero, my hero. But you had the geeks online. We were quiet now, by the way. The world was quiet. When Max does something wrong, they are mute. They are mute for 2 reasons. 1, they'll probably go to bed because they got school in the morning. 2, they'll probably live in the mum's basement and the mum's run out of internet, so they're going to wait till tomorrow before the mum gets the dole money. That's all they are, is 100% geeks. Max Verstappen come out in the medium tyres because that's the tyre they wanted to start the race tomorrow. And Max Verstappen, the stupid dumbass geek, scolded his tyres, and now that forced Red Bull to change the strategy onto the soft tyres. And 2, the reason why he did get the fastest lap as well, because Perez gave him the tow. He actually come out and said in the interview at the end of Sky Sports 1, if you don't believe me, you stupid Red Bull geeks, he come out and said, I gave Max Verstappen the tow on the 2 big straights. But there's stupid ass Red Bull geeks who know nothing about Formula 1 still gonna say, no, Max done it on merit. No, you dumb shit. Lewis could have got the tow off Bottas, but he refused. Very simple. Lewis Hamilton wants to get the fastest lap on merit, not by a fucking tow. Very simple. But the Red Bull geeks are still not gonna get it. They're stupid. Of course they are. It's a rhetorical question, by the way. I already know the answer. You dumb shits! Oh, yeah! So, very simple. Michael Massey is Max Verstappen's dad.
Who's your daddy?
When Max Verstappen was using Lewis Hamilton's head as a cheese. Hamilton's head was the cheese, and Red Bull's car was the cheese grater. As I see, Red Bull were desperate to win this title. So basically, Michael Massey broke his own rules. just because he wanted that photo finish, that cinematic finish. It's not the fucking cinema, it's fucking Formula One. Formula One. You are a fucking disgrace to your badge. Get off my TV. Get away from Formula One. You are poison. Poison. We do not want you here. 1, you're a fucking jerk. 2, Max Verstappen is not a world champion. No. 3, Lewis Hamilton is an 8-time world champion in my eyes. He was robbed. All season, robbed. You tried to keep him down, he came back. You tried to beat him at Brazil, he came back. Hamilton had the best start, and he came back. At the beginning of the Abu Dhabi race, Hamilton was second place, beat Max Verstappen. He was 11 seconds ahead. He had to get his own teammates to try and slow Hamilton down, and it didn't work. He tried everything. Christian Horner came out on the radio, started crying a river of tears, saying, you know what? It's going to take a miracle for this to happen. It's going to take a miracle for us to win this race. All of a sudden, fucking geek Latifi crashes his car. Crashes his car out of nowhere. Very suspect. Welcome to episode 22 of the Flaming Tarmac. This is the first episode of the year, the Flaming Tarmac. I haven't done an episode for 3 or 4 months, and finally I'm going to do one now because the back end of last season we had a lot of triple headers, we had double headers, plus I was working on my Twitch channel, editing a lot of videos. It's only me doing the editing. I do everything on my channel, on my Twitch, and my YouTube, and I never had time to do it. But now the F1 season's finished, Christmas is out of the way, everything is settling down, and now I'm going to start talking about the F1 news. If you've never watched one of my Flaming Tarmac videos before, basically it's just a news and rumours video. I talk about news, rumours, what's going on Twitter, and what's going around, and what are my predictions for the following race and up and coming season. So I'm gonna get into it. now the season, the F1 season, has been over for 3 weeks. 3 weeks now. I think it's over 3 weeks, and we all know what happened at Abu Dhabi. We're not stupid. And it doesn't matter if you don't like Lewis Hamilton. It doesn't matter if you don't like Mercedes. You know what happened. At the end of the day, Lewis Hamilton is an 8-time world champion. And I'm not joking. Lewis Hamilton is an 8-time world champion. And now a lot of people are going to come on my channel, and they're going to come on my Twitter, and they're going to come on my YouTube, and they're going to say to me, listen, Lewis Hamilton ain't no 8-time world champion. He's a 7-time world champion. No, geek. He's an 8-time world champion. The guy that's holding the title, Max Verstappen, that is Lewis Hamilton's title. Simple. Very simple. If you know about F1, you know what went down. I'm not going to go into this situation. If you want to watch that, go and watch my review video I put on my channel last week. Go and check that out and you'll see what I think of that situation. But my point, what I'm trying to make is, since the season finished, we have not heard from one F1 journalist. Actually, we heard about Crafty. He came out and he was talking about Michael Massey, and he was saying that Michael Massey, he's not really fit for the job. Basically, that's what he was saying. But the only thing with that is, Crafty, it's too late. Why didn't you say that the day it happened? Why didn't you come out and say, listen, that's not the way it went, it should have went down. You was having an orgasm on the microphone when Max Verstappen passed that finish line. Very simple. You was going crazy. Why didn't you come out and say, listen, this is not the way it should have went down, instead of celebrating? Where was all this positivity towards Lewis Hamilton then? There's no point of saying it now. It makes you look fake. I'm not listening. I don't care what Crofty says. I do not care if he comes out and says Michael Masi should be in a job. Too fucking late. You should have said it 3 weeks ago. And that's the only thing I've heard since the F1 season finished. That's the only wording, the only tweet I saw since the F1 finished. Nothing off Martin Brundle. Nothing off Lazenby. Nothing off Damon Hill. Nothing off Natalie Pinkman. Nothing. Nothing off nobody. They're all keeping quiet. And then they want to talk about unity. They want to talk about Black Lives Matter. They want to talk about we stand as one. You do not stand as one. You do not stand as one. Solidarity, bullshit. There's no solidarity anywhere. It's all words. If it was solidarity, why didn't you come online and why didn't you start tweeting and say, look, we back Lewis Hamilton? Why? That's solidarity. I never saw that on Twitter. I never saw not one tweet of any of yous. Nothing. And then you talk about Black Lives Matter. We stand as one. Go and stick the We Race as One up your fucking arse. Stick it up there and fucking break it off. Because it doesn't mean anything to me. Nothing. Sky Sports F1 are reckless. Reckless. They had this geek come out today called Craig Slater. Craig Slater. They've been quiet for 3 weeks and just brought him out of the fucking cupboard. Out of the fucking dusty cupboard where he's been fucking staying for 3 weeks. He comes out his dusty cupboard. He comes on Sky Sports F1 News and he starts talking about, oh, I've got sources. You ain't got no fucking sources saying, oh, Lewis Hamilton's. I've got sources that Lewis Hamilton, if he's not, as we stand, he's not going to be starting on the grid when lights go out. That's what he said. Reckless. Reckless. Listen, I know these commentators, these reporters follow Twitter. They've seen the controversy between the two teams. They've seen spaces that are on Twitter. They've saw Red Bull spaces. They saw Mercedes spaces. They've saw Mercedes and Red Bull fans going back and forth. They know what they're doing. They've got people watching Twitter. That's their fucking job. And as I see, yeah, they knew exactly what they was doing. Bringing out this Craig Slater on Sky Sports News saying that. They know that's going to cause controversy. And what does controversy equal? Ratings. Ratings. And they want to see carnage. The more Red Bull fans argue with Mercedes fans, the more they're going to watch it. And the more Sky Sports F1 gets rich. And that's what it's all about. About them getting rich. They don't give a shit about Lewis Hamilton. They don't give a shit about Lewis Hamilton. If they cared about Lewis Hamilton, why are they not coming out and speaking for him? Why are they not coming out and saying, look, Lewis Hamilton got robbed. He shouldn't have went down that way. All right, they're talking about it was a good season. Yeah, I agree. It was a good season in parts. But as soon as Silverstone come, that was it. You heard the rhetoric from Red Bull, the way they was talking. Especially that Jonathan fucking geek Wheatman on the radio trying to turn the decisions to Red Bull's favour. He lived in them stewards, him and Christian Horner. They probably had a bed side by side with each other. With Massey. There was always talking to Massey over the radio. Constantly over the radio. And from Silverstone, from where Max... It was Max's fault, by the way. It was a racing incident, but really it was Max's fault when at the Cups corner. When I was talking about the Cups corner, about, oh, you never stick a car at Cups. Of course you do. It's racing. It's the fact that Max Verstappen left the door open and Hamilton took advantage. What do you expect to do? Don't take advantage. Remember what Ayrton Senna says? Long as there's a gap, if you see the gap and you no longer go for that gap, you are no longer a race driver. Very simple. And there was a gap and he went for it. Sky Sports F1 are reckless. Manufactured robots. All manufactured All the same, all speak the same. I wouldn't be surprised if you're going to see Martin Brundle come out and say the same thing that Craig Slater said. And then the day after that, you're going to see Jensen Geekbutton come out and say the same thing. That's exactly what's going to happen. That's exactly what is going to happen. They've got no credibility. None. The fans know. They know they got robbed. They just care about going to the posh parties with the posh mates and getting a bunk up and say, oh, little parties, go to Christian Horner's house and play patter cake. Let's go to Christian Horner's house and have a pillow fight. They do not care about Lewis Hamilton. But I guarantee if Lewis Hamilton was Jensen Button, the roles were reversed and Jensen Button was in this situation, you'd see the Sky Sports F1 saying, oh, this is not fair, this is not right, Jensen got robbed. But what did they say about Lewis? Nothing. Not one of them have come out and defended Lewis and said, look, Lewis should have won the title, he was out of order. It's not about being a reporter, it's about being a human and seeing what happened. You stand as one, okay? Defend Lewis then. Until then, I'm not interested in race as one. I always knew this race as one, this Black Lives Matter was all bullshit. I knew from day one, they did not care about Black Lives Matter and re-race as one. They did not give a shit. This is a white-dominated sport. It always has been. And then you got this guy, Lewis Hamilton, black man from Stevenage, comes into Formula 1 and wipes them all away, and they do not like it. John Littletoshi doesn't like it. Ross Brawn doesn't like it. Because their man, Schumacher's record, is gone. And the only record that Lewis Hamilton was equal to was the championship record, and they wanted that intact. And what's all this about Lewis Hamilton breaking Schumacher's record? He's broke both of his records and he's equal in championship, not Schumacher's ahead. They are both on 7, but in my opinion, he's on 8. Now, onto the news. Now, Carlos Sainz. Ferrari are set to begin talks with Carlos Sainz regarding a contract extension after the Spaniard's impressive debut season with the Italian squad. Now, I agree with Ferrari on this one. Contract extension, therefore I'll give him a couple more years on his contract. In my opinion, I think Ferrari are waiting for Mick Schumacher to start getting his shit together. I think Mick Schumacher is definitely a future Ferrari driver. He's just got a job landed with Ferrari a few weeks ago. It was announced a few weeks ago that he's going to be their test driver. So you can see that they are preparing him to drive for Ferrari. We all know Michael Schumacher. He's a legendary Formula 1 driver, 7-time world champion, and he's king at Ferrari. He's the greatest driver that Ferrari has ever had in the red car. And I think they are queuing up Mick Schumacher to try and replace Carlos Sainz in the future. I think Charles Leclerc is their man. They're going to have 2 main drivers. They're going to have Charles Leclerc and Mick Schumacher. Don't get me wrong, Carlos Sainz is an amazing driver. For me, he's just as good as Charles Leclerc, but I think the clue is in the extension. They didn't give an extension to Charles Leclerc. When they had Charles Leclerc, they gave him a big contract. I think it was a 5-year contract straight away. And I think with Carlos Sainz, them saying to him they're going to give him an extension, he's holding that seat for Mick Schumacher. He's holding that seat. If Mick Schumacher makes more progress this season, I can see Mick Schumacher either going to Alfa Romeo to join Valtteri Bottas, and then after that, going to go straight to Ferrari. Because at the end of the day, that seat is Carlos Sainz is keeping that seat warm for Mick Schumacher. That's just my opinion. A lot of people probably going to disagree, but that's my opinion. Schumacher is breaded to go to Ferrari. On to Charles Leclerc. Charles Leclerc reveals his biggest improvement of last season and anticipates challenging an adaptation to 2022 cars. So, Charles Leclerc, to me, one of the greatest drivers on the grid, defo top 5, defo. He's better than Max Verstappen. He's just under Lewis and Alonso and Vettel. He's up there with them. And for me, Charles Leclerc, I think he's been waiting for this moment since 2019. Since 2019, he's been waiting for this moment to be up in the top 3 again. Because Charles Leclerc, with his talent, he should be challenging for the title, for the F1 title, definitely. He's got so much skills. When he first came into Formula 1, when he was at Alfa Romeo, and even in his early days with Ferrari, he was making a few mistakes on the grid, locking up in a few corners. But that's just teething problems. I think Charles Leclerc now, he's the finished package. You saw him and Max Verstappen going wheel to wheel, and Charles Leclerc didn't care about the aggressive driving from Max Verstappen. He didn't care. He was aggressive back, and he's got the skills, and we know he's fast as well. So now he's put all that together, and he's now, hopefully he will adapt to the 2022 cars. And if he adapts to the 2022 cars in Ferrari, and Ferrari give him a good package, he's definitely going to be one of the favourites to win the title this year. Definitely. People talking about Mercedes, yeah, Mercedes might have a fast car. Mercedes will probably be one of the favourites, but Charles Leclerc is going to be there with him. That's just my opinion. Now onto Lando Norris. Lando Norris is gearing up for his 4th full Formula 1 season, and said the experience of fighting Ferrari in 2021 has put him in prime position to battle towards the front of the field. Lando Norris. My opinion on Lando Norris. What a talent he is. Some people don't like him. Some people don't like his cocky attitude. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about his driving skills. He is an amazing driver, and he deserves all the success what's coming to him, because he came into Formula 1. He went straight to McLaren. That alone, the pressure of driving for McLaren, that alone. Some people go into smaller teams, but he went into one of the biggest teams. He's got one of the biggest history in Formula 1, McLaren. He went there and he dealt with Daniel Ricciardo. Lando Norris is outperforming that car, and he's outperforming Daniel Ricciardo. And there's nothing Daniel Ricciardo can do about it. I remember when Daniel Ricciardo went to that team and he looked into Lando's eyes and he goes, I'm going to end you, to try and intimidate Lando Norris. Lando Norris said, yeah, you want to end me, motherfucker? Watch this. Watch this. And look what Lando's done. He's outperformed that car, and he's outperformed Daniel Ricciardo. That win that Daniel Ricciardo got in Italy at Monza, that win, Lando Norris could have won that. They told Lando Norris to slow down just to give Ricciardo that win, to try and give him confidence. Lando Norris is now the main driver in McLaren. He's got a big contract he signed last year as well. He's going to be their main driver. That means when you are the main driver, all the engineers, the team will put all their effort into him. I'm not saying Daniel Ricciardo is going to get left on the side. I'm not saying that. But as we are now, as with the 2022 season is approaching, they're going to put all their eggs towards Lando Norris. And he outperformed that car last year. He was definitely one of the best drivers 2021. Now on to George Russell. George Russell. I am a very big advocate of George Russell. If you followed me for over the years of Formula 1, I've loved George Russell before he came into Formula 3, by the way. I'm not just one of these band jumpers. I just want to jump on the bandwagon now. And hopefully that George Russell whoops Lewis Hamilton's ass. Because there's a lot of fans out there now, so-called George Russell fans. And the reason why the George Russell fans, because I want to see George Russell beat Lewis Hamilton. That's the reason why his stock is going to rise. But I've loved George Russell from 3-4 years ago. I always knew he was a great driver. I always knew he was going to go to Mercedes eventually. Toto Wolff is not stupid. He knew what he was doing in signing George Russell. He's definitely a star of the future. Multiple world champion, defo. Now, newly minted Mercedes driver George Russell considers the Constructors' Championship to be a wide open contest in 2022. As the freshly signed ex-Williams racer said, it could be a 5-way fight for the title this season. George Russell predicts F1 underdogs may prevail early on in the 2022 season. I don't agree. To me, look, George Russell just came in. He had some tests a couple of weeks ago in the car, just testing out the new tyres and the new car, whatever. Now, he's saying that because he's not going to come out and say that Mercedes car is fast. He's not going to come out and say it's fast in every sector, fast on the tyres. We're definitely going to be the favourites to win the title. He's not going to come out and say that. He's now a Mercedes driver, so he's playing the Mercedes game. How many times have we heard Toto come out and Lewis come out and James Bowers comes out and say, our car's okay, but we still need a lot of work. This is what George Russell's doing. He's coming out and he's saying all this shit because he knows that car is fast. So he's trying to do the reverse psychology and say, look, it's going to be a 5-way fight. Listen, it's not going to be a 5-way fight. There's not going to be 5 teams going for the Constructors title. No way. Not in my opinion. I think it's going to be Mercedes. I think it's going to be Ferrari. And it's going to be an outsider. It's going to be McLaren. Them 3. There's no way it's going to be a 5-way fight for the Constructors. And that's what George Russell's saying now to try and make out that the car is okay, but there's going to be a lot of other Constructors gunning for it as well. This is just smart on Mercedes, putting them out there and him saying that. That's just my opinion. And that's the end of the F1 news. Now, that's the end of the Flaming Tarmac. And episode 23 will be coming soon, hopefully next week. So, that's the end of the Flaming Tarmac. That was episode 22 in the bag. The next episode of Flaming Tarmac will be next week, but if there's any breaking news, I'll put one up immediately. So, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, follow me on Twitch. The link will be in the description below. Follow me on Twitter. Any breaking news, I'll put it up on my Twitter feed. Follow me on Twitter. All links for all my channels will be in the description below. So this is Solo P1 signing out. Thank you very much, guys. Bye.